She had been pacing since morning, bare feet brushing against the cold wooden floor, breathing heavy, eyes roaming the room like she was searching for a safe place to collapse. Her name was Alina, the quiet girl everyone thought they understood because she smiled politely and never caused trouble. But I knew better. I had known for months that something weighed on her, something that hollowed her voice, tugged her shoulders down, and wrapped her nights in sleepless silence. We grew up 3 houses apart, shared the same school hallways, the same neighborhood sunsets, and, without meaning to, the same loneliness. She was the kind of person who carried her storms inside, always insisting she was fine even when her eyes said otherwise. And I was the kind of person who noticed storms even when they came without thunder. When she called that evening, her voice small and shaking, I didn't ask questions. I just told her to come over. She arrived wrapped in the same faded hoodie she wore every time she felt unsafe, her hair tied in a shaky knot, her cheeks streaked with fear she kept trying to hide. I closed the door behind her. She didn't move. "Alina," I said softly, "whatever it is, you're safe here." Her lips quivered as if the words she had been hiding were clawing their way out. I watched her chest rise, fall, tremble. She sank onto the edge of my couch like her knees could no longer hold the truth inside her. "I can't," she whispered. Then she covered her face with both hands. "I can't hold it in anymore." I sat down beside her, careful not to crowd her. The air felt thick, heavy with something true and fragile. She lifted her head slowly, tears collecting in the corners of her eyes. "I'm coming out," she said. The words hung between us, alive, trembling, desperate to be understood. She looked at me like she was waiting for the world to collapse or explode or swallow us whole. Like my reaction could heal her or break her for good. Her hands shook violently, and instinctively I reached out, covering them with mine. "It's okay," I whispered. But she shook her head. "No, it's not. You don't understand, everything is going to change. People will talk, my parents will. Hey." I squeezed her hand gently. "Look at me." She did. And in that moment I saw years of fear of judgment, of rejection, of losing people who claimed to love her. "This will be our little secret," I said. Not because I wanted her truth hidden, but because I knew she needed a moment where she could breathe without the world crushing her. A place where her truth could stretch its wings carefully before learning to fly. She collapsed into my arms and sobbed, not the soft, controlled tears she usually hid, but the kind that shook her whole body. I held her like she was something fragile and powerful at the same time. I didn't say anything else. Sometimes silence is the safest blanket. When she finally pulled back, her eyes were red but clearer. She exhaled a long, shaky breath. "I don't know who I'll lose," she whispered. "You won't lose me," I replied. Something softened inside her. For the first time in months, she let herself lean on someone. And for the first time in my life, I realized protecting someone didn't always mean fighting battles for them, sometimes it meant holding the shield steady while they regained strength. The night grew deeper. She stayed on the couch, wrapped in a blanket I knew she liked. She talked for hours about the confusion, the fear, the way she rehearsed her truth in front of a mirror every night but never found enough courage to speak it out loud. And I listened. Every word. Every silence. Every break. Because some people deserve to be heard so deeply that their soul unclenches. Chapter 2, without heading, long, emotional, complete arc. The next few weeks became a quiet, emotional journey for both of us. Alina started to breathe differently, still nervous, still scared, but lighter. She laughed sometimes, real laughter, the kind that wasn't practiced or cautious. And I watched her like someone watching the sunrise after too many nights of darkness, slow, warm, beautiful. But healing is never a straight line. One afternoon, she burst into my room in tears again. Her parents had confronted her after finding messages on her phone, messages she wasn't ready to explain. She told me her mother cried, her father yelled, and she felt like the floor was opening beneath her. "I ruined everything," she sobbed. "No," I said firmly. "They just heard it wrong. Not from you. Not in your voice. But they hate me." "They're scared," I said softly. They don't understand yet. She looked at me with eyes desperate for reassurance, for something solid to hold on to. So I told her the truth. Understanding isn't instant. But love, real love, takes time to bend, not break. She exhaled shakily, leaning her head against my shoulder. We sat like that for a long time. A few days later, she decided she would talk to them. Not to force acceptance, but to reclaim her voice. She asked me to come with her, and I did, sitting quietly in the corner as she faced the two people she feared losing the most. Her voice wavered. Her hands trembled. But she spoke. Not apologizing. Not shrinking. Just being honest. I'm still your daughter, she said at the end, tears falling freely. I'm still me. Her mother cried again, this time softer. Her father didn't speak for a long time. The silence was suffocating. But eventually, he exhaled. We need time, he said. Not acceptance. But not rejection. A door cracked open. And that was enough for her to breathe again. Outside, she gripped my hand tightly. Was I shaking too much? You were perfect, I said. In the days that followed, she learned something priceless. Coming out isn't a single moment. It's a journey, slow, painful, freeing. One night, as we sat on my rooftop watching the stars, she looked at me with a softness that felt like sunlight. You were the first person I told, she whispered. I'm honored, I replied. No, you're my safe place. The first person who didn't flinch when I said it. I didn't realize a simple promise, this will be our little secret, would grow into something so life-changing. She no longer needed hiding. She no longer trembled at the idea of being who she was. She stood straighter, walked lighter, laughed louder. She wasn't just coming out. She was coming alive. The world still had people who wouldn't understand her. But she had learned that truth is worth breathing, even if the world holds its breath first. And in the end, she wasn't alone. She never had been. Her courage taught me something too, that the bravest stories aren't always loud. Sometimes they unfold in living rooms, whispered through tears, carried in trembling hands. Sometimes they begin with a confession that shatters silence, and end with a life rebuilt from honesty. Her journey became the message. Be who you are even if your voice shakes. The world will adjust. Your heart will thank you.